Have you ever worked so hard for something, and then right when it started working, something inside you shut down? Not because you didn't want it, not because you weren't grateful, not because you didn't try hard enough, but because your body suddenly couldn't stay with it. If you've ever felt that, I want you to stay with me in this video. Because this isn't about motivation, and it's not about discipline, and it definitely isn't about you being broken. It's about something no one ever explains when they talk about success. I didn't fail at success. My nervous system simply couldn't hold it yet. And that distinction changed everything. There was a week that I worked back-to-back 12-hour shifts. Sometimes it was closer to 14. I was on my feet all day, completely exhausted and no real break. But my income doubled. And for someone on a 0-hour contract, that felt huge. That kind of money meant safety. It meant relief. It meant contributing more at home. It meant breathing room. So logically, I should have wanted to keep going. I did want to keep going. But something in me froze. Not slowly, not dramatically, just quietly. I couldn't bring myself to take another shift that month. At the time, I told myself all the usual things. Why can't you push through? Other people do this all the time. You should be grateful. You're always sabotaging yourself. But here's what I know now. That wasn't laziness. That wasn't lack of discipline. That was my nervous system hitting a limit. And the reason that I know that now is because I can see the patterns. It wasn't just that week. It was every time something started working. Every time I earned more than usual, something in me pulled me back. Every time I built momentum, something in me collapsed. Every time success felt close, my body found a way to stop me. And for years, I thought that was my fault. I thought I was self-sabotaging. I thought I lacked discipline. I thought I didn't want it badly enough. But I did want it. I wanted it desperately. What I didn't have was the capacity to hold it. Here's what no one tells you. Success doesn't register as safety in the body. It registers as change. Money means more responsibility, more expectation, more visibility, more pressure. And if your nervous system has learned consciously or subconsciously that those things lead to pain, loss, or punishment, it will pull the brakes. Not to punish you, but to protect you. This is why motivation disappears right before growth. This is why consistency collapses under pressure. This is why discipline works and then suddenly doesn't. You didn't lose willpower. You exceeded your nervous system's current capacity. Let me say that again. You didn't lose willpower. You exceeded your nervous system's current capacity. Because your nervous system doesn't care about your goals. It cares about your survival. And if success has ever been followed by punishment, criticism, jealousy, abandonment, or collapse, your body remembers. It doesn't matter how much time has passed, or that you're in a different situation now. Your body remembers what it experienced. And so when success starts to feel real, your nervous system scans for danger. And if it finds anything, any memory, any association, any pattern that says this didn't end well last time, it will pull you back. Not because you're weak, but because it's trying to keep you safe. This pattern didn't just show up once. Every time I got a new job, especially after periods of low or no income, I felt so grateful. I start with so much energy, with optimism, with hope, and then without fail, something inside me would die. I'd fantasize about being fired. Can you imagine? Not because I hated the job, but because my body wanted an exit. I used to think that made me ungrateful, or dramatic, or broken. Now I understand what was happening. Security felt unsafe. Consistency felt trapping. Being relied on felt like a threat. And that's not a character flaw. That's conditioning. I remember one job in particular. I was working in marketing and I had the most money in my savings than I'd ever had before. It wasn't a lot by other people's standards, but it was a lot to me. And I should have been happy. I should have felt secure. I should have felt proud. But instead, I felt restless. I felt trapped. I felt like I needed to do something else, be somewhere else, start something new. So I took all that money and invested it into starting a business. I ordered product samples from China. I bought inventory in bulk. I set up my social media. I built my website. I did everything I thought I was supposed to do. And then when I launched, no one bought. And that collapse, that public failure stopped me for years. Initially, I thought it didn't affect me, but it did. Not just from starting another business, but from believing that I was capable of holding success at all. Because what I internalized from that experience wasn't just that business didn't work. Subconsciously, it was I can't be trusted with success. And that belief shaped everything that came after. Every time I started to build something, that memory was there. Every time I started to earn more, the memory was there. Every time I started to feel optimistic, the memory was there. And my body would say, remember what happened last time? Let's not do that again. Effort is what you do, while capacity is what your nervous system can safely hold. You can deeply want something, but still not have the capacity to sustain it yet. And when effort exceeds capacity, your body responds. Not with motivation, but with fatigue, avoidance, shutdown, freeze. That's why pushing harder doesn't fix this. It actually reinforces the danger signal. This is the distinction that shifted everything for me. Because once I understood that my collapse wasn't about effort, I could stop blaming myself. I wasn't lazy. I wasn't undisciplined. I wasn't sabotaging myself. I was working beyond my nervous system's current capacity to hold success. And that's a completely different problem. Because if the issue is effort, the solution is to try harder. But if the problem is capacity, the solution is to build safety. And building safety doesn't look like pushing through. It looks like slowing down. It looks like taking smaller steps. It looks like proving to your body over and over that success doesn't have to lead to collapse. That you can earn more without burning out. That you can be visible without being criticized. That you can hold success without losing yourself. And that takes time. It takes repetition. It takes patience. But thankfully, it's possible. There was another time that I had more savings than I'd ever had before. Again, it wasn't a lot by other people's standards, but it was a lot to me. And instead of enjoying it, I became anxious. I didn't touch it. I didn't use it. I just waited. Waited for the bill, for the emergency, for it to disappear. That's what happens when you have money without safety. And it's more common than we talk about. I remember looking at my bank account and feeling this overwhelming sense of dread. Not because the number was low, but because the number was high. And I just knew that at any moment, I would be asked to pay for something. And if I said no, I'd be selfish. I'd be a bad daughter. I'd be choosing money over family. So I never felt like that money was mine. I never felt like I had permission to keep it. I never felt like I could use it for something that I wanted without guilt. And that's what happens when you grow up in an environment where your resources are always expected to be shared, where your boundaries are always seen as selfish, where your autonomy is always seen as a threat. You can have money, but you can't hold it, because holding it means choosing yourself. And choosing yourself feels dangerous. So instead, you stay in this state of hypervigilance, waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for the demand, waiting for the moment that you'll have to give it all away. And that's not financial security. That's financial anxiety. And no amount of money will fix that until you address the underlying belief that keeping it makes you bad. What I've realized is that my nervous system has a money ceiling, not a fixed one. Thank God. Thank you, Jesus. But a flexible one that's determined by how safe I feel. And every time I approach that ceiling, my body starts to signal danger. It starts to pull me back. It starts to shut me down. Not because the money itself is dangerous, but because of what the money represents. More money means more independence. And independence means I'm harder to control. More money means more visibility. And visibility means I'm easier to criticize. More money means more responsibility. And responsibility means more pressure. And if my nervous system has learned that those things lead to pain, it will do everything it can to stop me from going there. This is why I'd start businesses and then stop. This is why I'd build momentum and then collapse. This is why I'd work hard and then freeze. It wasn't because I didn't want success. It was because my body couldn't hold it yet. Note, the yet is key because I'm coming for everything this year. So if you've ever wondered why you keep starting over, why you keep pulling back right before something works, why you feel exhausted by consistency, why you secretly feel relief when things fall apart, this is why. Your body is not trying to ruin your life. It's trying to keep you safe based on what it's learned. And the beautiful thing is, the capacity can be built slowly, gently, without force. But it requires you to stop seeing your collapse as failure and start seeing it as information. Every time your motivation disappears, your body is telling you something. Every time your consistency breaks, your body is telling you something. Every time you pull back right before success, your body is telling you something. And what it's usually saying is, this feels too big. This feels too fast. This feels unsafe. And instead of overriding that signal, you can listen to it. You can ask yourself, what would make this feel safer? Sometimes the answer is, I need to move slower. Sometimes it's, I need more support. Sometimes it's, I need to take a smaller step. Sometimes it's, I need to rest before I continue. And when you honor that, something shifts. Your nervous system learns that you're not going to push it past its limits, that you're not going to ignore its signals, that you're going to work with it, not against it. And over time, your capacity expands, not because you forced it, but because you built safety. Building capacity doesn't look like what most people think it does. It doesn't look like pushing through. It doesn't look like forcing consistency. It doesn't look like ignoring your body's signals. It looks like taking the smallest sustainable step and then proving to yourself that you can start something without it consuming you. For me, that looked like setting a timer for 10 to 25 minutes and allowing myself to stop after that, even if I wanted to keep going, even if I felt like I should keep going, because I needed to prove to my body that I wouldn't abandon myself in pursuit of a goal. It also looked like saying no to opportunities that felt too big, too fast, too exposed. Even when other people thought I should say yes, even when it seemed like a good opportunity, because I needed to prove to my body that I would honor my own limits, that I wouldn't override my own signals just to please someone else. And slowly, very slowly, my capacity expanded. Not because I pushed harder, but because I moved at a pace that my nervous system could sustain. And that's what building capacity looks like. It looks like patience, like repetition. It looks like proving to yourself over and over that success doesn't have to lead to collapse. You are not behind, you're not failing, and you're not broken. Your nervous system is simply learning how to stay with the life that you're building. And that learning takes time. It takes gentleness. It takes a willingness to move slower than the world tells you to move. But it's worth it. Because when you build capacity instead of forcing efforts, you don't just achieve success, you sustain it. You don't just earn money, you keep it. You don't just build momentum, you maintain it. And you do all of that without burning out, without collapsing, without losing yourself in the process. If this stirs something in your body, please don't rush to fix it. I created a nervous system reset for women building income. It's there to help you settle before doing anything else. You'll find it linked below. Remember, this isn't about pushing harder. This isn't about doing more. This is about creating the internal capacity to hold what you're creating and doing that in a way that feels safe. And the fact that you're here, watching this, asking these questions, means you're already doing the work. You're already listening. You're already moving towards a version of success that doesn't require you to abandon yourself. And that's the version worth building. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you didn't know, my name is Mary, and I hope you guys release all the stress that you're going through and stay blessed.